Welcome to the campus of Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. In just 3 hours, Donald Trump tries to save his presidential campaign in what most experts are now calling a make-or-break debate with Hillary Clinton. It will be the exclamation point on one of the wildest weekends in recent political history. I'm Bret Baier. Trump is trying to fend off calls from within his own party to leave the race over his vulgar comments about women on an 11-year-old recording, bragging about unwanted sexual advances on a married woman and others. The future of the Republican Party may actually hang in the balance here. Clinton is hoping the attention will stay on Trump and off revelations about her own duplicity, critics say blatant hypocrisy, that also came to light Friday in a series of hacked emails, let alone her husband's past affairs and her treatment of those women making allegations, all of which Trump tweeted about today. We will have complete debate, pre-coverage, predictions, and analysis on this special Sunday edition of Special Report. We have team coverage tonight. Jennifer Griffin's in the spin room here in St. Louis. She has the Clinton story, but we begin with Chief Political Correspondent Carl Cameron here at Washington University. Good evening, Carl.
Hi, Brett. Donald Trump knows he has to reassure the public. He has to win this debate. He has to get things back on track and do all of that without being offensive.
With 6 Republican governors, 14 U.S. senators, and 20 U.S. congressmen already refusing or now revoking their support for Trump in the wake of the 2005 audio tape revealing Trump's lewd boast that as a star he could grope and kiss women without consent, Donald Trump lashed out this morning on Twitter, quote, "So many self-righteous hypocrites. Watch their poll numbers and elections go down!" exclamation point. Team Trump expects the controversy to be the first topic at tonight's town hall-style debate in St. Louis against Hillary Clinton. Trump telegraphed his counterattack, promoting a new interview on Breitbart News, formerly run by his campaign chairman Steve Bannon, with Juanita Broaddrick, who during Bill Clinton's presidency accused him of raping her in the 70s. Allegations never proven. Trump tweeted, quote, "Exclusive video interview. Bill Clinton accuser Juanita Broaddrick relives brutal rapes."
I'm still afraid, especially if she becomes president.
Breitbart later released a second video, including 2 additional former Clinton accusers. Democratic running mate Tim Kaine suggested Clinton will focus more on what Trump did than said.
It's not just words. It really is talking about a pattern of sexual assault. And so I can't imagine that undecided voters that are part of this town hall will not want to hear him explain why he thought that was acceptable behavior.
Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta elaborated.
I think he'll have some explaining himself to do tonight. But, you know, this isn't an exception. He's said the same horrible things about Latinos, about African Americans, about Muslims.
Trump's campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, who's been deeply involved in debate prep with Trump, canceled her appearance on Fox News Sunday. She's a noted pollster who specializes in helping Republicans appeal to women. Rudy Giuliani appeared in her place.
Was Kellyanne Conway unwilling to defend Trump's remarks about women?
Well, I don't think anyone is going to defend his remarks. Is Kellyanne still a very strong supporter of Donald Trump? Absolutely, yes.
In the battleground swing state of Ohio, a must-win for Trump, for the first time in 100 years, the Columbus Dispatch is endorsing a Democrat and blasted Trump, quote, "He has proved himself a liar of epic proportion. He's a bigot, a braggart, an admirer of foreign thugs such as Russia's Vladimir Putin. He is reckless and thin-skinned. He's demeaned Mexicans, demonized Muslims, insulted women, and mocked the disabled."
The final debate is in 10 days. Then there's a 20-day sprint to Election Day. And tonight the Trump campaign knows they need a clear and decisive win in order to get things back on track. Brett?
All right, Carl, thank you. President Obama is making his first public comments of that leaked Trump audio. He spoke to an audience today in Chicago.
You know, one of the most disturbing things about this election is just the unbelievable rhetoric coming at the top of the Republican ticket. I don't need to repeat it. There are children in the room. It tells you that he's insecure enough that he pumps himself up by putting other people down. Not a character trait that I would advise for somebody in the Oval Office.
Hillary Clinton will likely find herself somewhat on the defensive tonight over allegations of behavior from the more recent past. These involve statements she made at big money behind closed door speeches for Wall Street firms. Fox News correspondent Jennifer Griffin has that part of the story tonight from the Spin Room. Good evening, Jennifer.
Good evening, Brett. Well, Clinton's senior communications director, Jen Palmieri, told reporters today that she's not even sure that Hillary Clinton ever watched the Trump videotape. She was briefed on it, of course, and the moderators tonight have telegraphed that it will be the first subject of the debate when it begins 3 hours from now. Hillary Clinton left her home in Westchester, New York, but refused to weigh in on the Trump audio tapes. Aides say their strategy is for her first remarks to be on stage tonight, standing next to Donald Trump on the debate stage.
She got paid millions of dollars for saying that stuff.
Trump surrogates tried at every opportunity to turn the discussion back to Hillary Clinton's alleged leaked Wall Street speeches and her campaign chairman's hacked emails.
She also pointed out, I think, in one of them that she's a different person to them than she is than she has to be different politically. So we have two Hillary Clintons, which says we have a person who's a liar.
Former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani was referring to a speech Clinton gave in 2013. Quote, politics is like sausage being made. It is unsavory. All of the backroom discussions and the deals, you know, then people get a little nervous, to say the least. So you need both a public and a private position. Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, was asked about her remarks.
There's nothing that she hasn't said in private that she doesn't say in public. She's put forward the most aggressive Wall Street plan of any candidate, really. She stands behind Dodd-Frank. Donald Trump wants to rip it away.
Her running mate was pressed further today about a speech Clinton gave in 2013 to a Brazilian bank in which she's alleged to have said, quote, my dream is a hemispheric common market with open trade and open borders.
I don't think we can dignify documents dumped by WikiLeaks and just assume that they're all accurate and true. Anybody who hacks in to get documents is completely capable of manipulating them.
Kaine then went on to clarify Clinton's position on trade and then pivoted back to blaming the Russians.
The director of national intelligence indicated that this kind of hacking has been traced directly to the Russian government, and there is a direct intent to influence the outcome of an American election. If that is in fact true, you cannot accept as gospel truth everything that they might put in a document.
Hillary Clinton will get the first question tonight. The question is whether she will shake her opponent's hand when she comes on stage. No one expects the Lincoln Douglas debates tonight, Brett.
It'll be interesting to see. Jennifer Griffin in the Spin Room. Jennifer, thank you. Let's talk more about what we may expect during tonight's debate. Syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer joins us now from Washington. Good evening, Charles. I mean, it has been a pretty remarkable 48 hours for people who cover politics. As you look at the debate tonight, what do you think is going to develop?
Well, I think it's in the hands of Donald Trump. He will decide which way it goes. He really has two choices. One choice is to play the good boy, to be contrite, to be able to say the word apology without mispronouncing it. And look, I think that's something that he's been urged. I think he's very unlikely to do that because he is obviously not contrite about this. From all of the tweets, all of the reaction, you get the sense, you know, others have done it. Bill Clinton has done it. Why are they going after me? And attacking Republicans and then attacking the Clintons. His other choice is to go nuclear. And that is to make this a fight about the morality of the Clintons. And here he needs to go after Hillary, not Bill, but he needs to hit on the issue of Hillary aiding and abetting, enabling, and then attacking the women that he was supposedly involved with. And in that kind of fight, I think he would try to do to her what she did to him. In the first debate, she put out pieces of cheese, and he followed everyone into the mousetrap and ended up in a fight with Miss Universe, which was self-destructive in the extreme. I think he's going to want to bait her into a debate at a level that she is not used to, and to make her lose her cool. Now, she is pretty good after all her experience in debates at keeping her cool, But if he can make her get into a shouting match with him at a certain point to bring her down to his level, then he's got a chance to come out ahead, because he's good at that. He did that in the debates in the primary season, and he won them all.
Charles, this is not just about the two candidates head-to-head. This is a town hall where you're trying to connect with people asking questions in the round there. So to see that back and forth might be a little bit different in this environment.
It might be, but imagine that the two of them treat it like a normal town hall, ingratiate themselves with the questioner and the audience, and on their best behavior. Then it comes out a draw, and a draw for Trump would be deadly. He's behind, was behind before the incident, is hemorrhaging support in his own party, and needs a win. A draw is not good enough for him. There's only a month left, and only one other opportunity in which he could regain traction. So if I'm him, I go nuclear.
We shall see. We are less than 3 hours away. Charles Krauthammer in Washington. Charles, thank you. Much more about the debate from all sides coming up. Hurricane Matthew is now just a memory, albeit a bitter one, for millions along the southeast coast. The storm has been downgraded to a post-tropical cyclone and is moving out to sea. Correspondent Steve Harrigan is in Fayetteville, North Carolina right now. Good evening, Steve.
Brett, good evening. We're seeing scenes like this all over North Carolina. Hurricane Matthew dumped 16 inches of rain on the state, so much rain that the water is simply getting underneath the roads, and that asphalt is collapsing. The winds are gone, but for many along the East Coast, Hurricane Matthew is not over. The threat now, especially in North Carolina, comes from the 16 inches of rain Matthew dumped along the coast. Cresting rivers are at historic levels. Flooding through Tuesday could threaten hundreds of buildings and the structural integrity of major roadways.
Political talk is dominating the airwaves on a lot of the other national channels, but I want to let the rest of the nation know we need your help.
At least 15 people have been killed by the storm in the U.S., 7 in North Carolina, most of those killed on the roads. More than 800 water rescues have been carried out, many near Fayetteville. First responders from New York City's urban search and rescue teams saved 3 people clinging to the roof of a car as the floodwater raged all around. Blue Skies Sunday gave homeowners in 4 states the chance to survey the damage.
This catastrophe this weekend is something else. I'm waiting for the electric company to come and do the pole. Then maybe I can find someone to start cutting the tree.
1.5 million homes and commercial properties were damaged in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. Trees uprooted, sections of major roadways destroyed.
Had we had a direct landfall hit, the consequences would have been much more severe than we believe they are now. But I do not, by saying that, want anyone to abandon the caution that is associated with this aftermath.
Haiti is dealing with the aftermath of a direct hit from 145-mile-per-hour winds. 30,000 homes, many of them simple wooden structures, are gone. And the death toll in Haiti is at more than 800, and it is expected to climb even further. Driving across North Carolina, you see giant holes like this that are growing every hour. You also see trees across some roads, and there's also standing water on I-95 right near us. It's 2 feet deep. There is a 5-hour traffic jam. It's simply a parking lot. Brett?
Steve Harrigan in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Steve, thank you. Up next, why did someone at NBC wait so long to leak the Donald Trump recording from 2005? As we go to break, a little behind-the-scenes look inside the debate hall. This is the debate hall at Washington University. As you can see, it's a different setup, the town hall format. Moderators Martha Raddatz from ABC and Anderson Cooper from CNN. Washington University has actually played host to the most presidential and vice presidential debate of any other site. They've had 3 presidential debates, 1 vice presidential debate. As you look at the site here, there'll be 900 people, students and others in the hall, but around the town hall setting, there'll be 40, and they've submitted their questions already. Remember that this is the stage where memorable moments happened between Bill Clinton, Ross Perot, and George H.W. Bush, Bush Gore. That moment also happened here in the town hall. But Washington University hasn't seen a debate like tonight. Special report continues after this. One of the big questions arising from the release of that 11-year-old Donald Trump recording is why we're learning about this just a month away from the election. Fox News media analyst and host of Fox's Media Buzz, Howard Kurtz, is here with some thoughts on that. Good evening, Howie.
Good evening, Brett. Plenty of questions swirling around NBC, whose corporate family includes Access Hollywood as well as The Apprentice. Chief among them, what took so long? That tape of Donald Trump bragging about groping women has been in the archives for 11 years, and it just happens to surface now in the final month of a tight election. Now, someone with access to that NBC tape leaked it on Friday to the Washington Post's David Fahrenthold, who told me today he wouldn't discuss the source's motivation. But the source apparently wanted this footage made public before tonight's debate. Access Hollywood had been working on its own story in recent days. NBC Senior Vice President Mark Kornblau told me the news division was also pursuing the story and checking with lawyers for days under a loose agreement in which Access Hollywood would have the first crack at breaking the story. But the news division continued to go forward after the program, Access Hollywood, decided it wouldn't publish anything until tomorrow after the debate. Now, after losing the scoop, Access Hollywood did air part of the debate, part of the tape, I should say, on Friday night, but cut out the parts with the most damaging comments from Billy Bush, a co-host of the Today Show, who has apologized and says he's embarrassed about having played along with Trump. Now, I just got off the phone with an NBC spokesman who knocked down reports that Billy Bush will appear on the Today Show tomorrow to apologize. In fact, he's been pulled from a scheduled appearance on that show. Meanwhile, The Apprentice, the AP quoting numerous former staffers and contestants from The Apprentice as saying that Trump made lewd and inappropriate comments to women. The Trump campaign says that's totally outlandish and calls the story false. But what happened to that footage? NBC says it doesn't control the off-air footage from The Apprentice because it only licensed the show. As for Access Hollywood, it turns out the most explosive story of this campaign was sitting right under its nose, and NBC's. Brett?
Howie, thank you. Months ago, when most Republican officials were still mocking and denouncing Donald Trump's candidacy in one way or another, Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions became an early champion for the businessman turned politician. Now Sessions again finds himself perhaps with very little company as he continues to support his nominee. Senator Sessions joins us now. Senator, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
I want to ask you that, first of all, about your party. You now have, in Alabama, for example, 3 elected officials who rescinded their support for Donald Trump, including the governor. You have 6 governors overall who rescinded their support. You have 14 Republican senators who have turned around and said they can't vote for or endorse Donald Trump, and 20 representatives from the House. What does this mean, and why are they wrong?
Well, I just think our officials need to slow down, think this thing through, give Donald Trump a chance. He's reached a whole new group of people. That's what I liked about his whole candidacy. He's bringing in working people, union people, African Americans that we haven't had before. He's talking about the things they care about. He's talking about leadership and changing the course of America. Yes, he had problems with this tape and other kind of problems that I think caused people unease.
Are you worried about other tapes, Senator?
Well, I don't have any idea that anything else will come out, but it may. I mean, who knows? But what I would say to you, this election is maybe it's like Alabama and Auburn. Our team that believes in lower taxes, less regulation, an honest trade policy, immigration that's lawful and serves the national interest, a strong national defense. That's who we are. She favors more taxes, more regulation, more government, weaker globalism, total open borders on immigration. So the choice is just huge. I mean, the gap is unbelievable. And I think we've got to focus on the direction the country should go.
Senator, I've heard Trump surrogates and supporters say that that audio characterized it as locker room talk. Here's what Senator Kaine said, the vice presidential nominee, about this today.
He says, I may have said those things, but I never did them. That's one thing. But, you know, I think the tape raises an awful lot of questions. And if you take that tape as Donald is accurately describing his actions, then yeah, it is a pattern of assaultive behavior, and it's much more than words.
They're talking about unwanted sexual advances that he's bragging about, and that's not really locker room talk.
Well, it's locker room talk. It was banter between those two guys. And
I mean, I haven't been in any locker rooms where they talk like that.
I haven't heard that either. But that's one way to describe it. And it does not prove that he did anything that's improper or illegal or assaulted somebody.
You think he was just bragging about something?
I don't know what he was talking about. I think people have overread the assault part in it from my reading of it. It doesn't say he touched somebody against their will. Maybe he did. I don't know, but I don't think so. So what I would say to you is he needs to talk tonight. He needs to express regret. He needs to apologize for that statement. It's inappropriate and wrong to make those kind of statements, but he has got to talk to the American people about the choices we face, the direction this country needs to go, and to focus on that entirely, I think, is a big mistake.
Do you think, like he tweeted out today, that he should focus on Bill Clinton's affairs in the past and what is alleged to have been done?
Well, we know former presidents have certainly not been perfect, don't we? John Kennedy supposedly had an affair with a woman from Germany who may have been a spy, a mafia girlfriend he met with on more than one occasion. And we know the stories about Bill Clinton. She's accused of actually raping a lady. Actually committing a rape. So they served as president of the United States.
We should point out, it was never brought forward, it was never confirmed, never convicted, but there was an accusation out there.
And this lady
But should Donald Trump go down there?
That'll have to be his decision about how he wants to handle this thing. I'm not going to tell him that he has to take constant abuse for words when Hillary Clinton assisted her husband to defend against real actions against women. So, again, this is not what the American people are looking for in this country. They want a leader, unlike Hillary Clinton, who defends their interests, Brett. She said in those secret speeches, she says, I tell the American people one thing, but I'm telling you, rich contributors, something else. I believe in open borders. I believe in a trade, Western Hemisphere trade union like the European Union, I suppose. That's her vision of what the world should be like.
There is
that is wrong.
There is substance in those WikiLeaks emails. The Democrats say you shouldn't even open the emails because they came stamped by Russia.
Well,
that
the
was done in
Democrats
Brazil.
can say what they want. They're out there now, and that's the way it is. But what I would say to you, the question, why did it come out on Friday? That's the day the WikiLeaks things came out. Just the day to kind of cover up the fact that, to me, what she said in those speeches are disqualifying as leadership. She says she does not maintain integrity with the American people, Brett, and this is a fundamental challenge to her integrity as a leader for America.
I have 10 seconds here. He was trailing in the polls heading into this weekend, and then this happened. Can he turn this around in this debate?
It's going to take I think this can begin that turnaround. It's going to be a difficult challenge for him, but he can begin this turnaround today. And if he stays on the message of what's best for America, his understanding of the errors we are making and how we can make America great again, I think he can turn this election around.
Senator Sessions, we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Much more straight ahead here from St. Louis and the campus of Washington University. When we come back, our panel looks at the challenges ahead for Donald Trump in tonight's debate. But first, Facebook is here. Always interesting to have insight before the showdown. We're here in the Media Filing Center. We're going to come over and find our friends at Facebook, as we do before and after each debate. Robert D'Onofrio, how are you?
Great, Brett. Nice
what do
to
you
see
got for us?
So since the news about the Trump tape broke on Friday and the WikiLeaks release news came out, we've seen a lot of conversation. Millions of people have been talking about both. 8.3 million people talking about the Trump tape, almost 3 million talking about the WikiLeaks release. So a lot of interest in those two topics heading into the debate tonight. As we step back, for the last 30 days, what we see for the top 5 issues being discussed on Facebook, taxes is first. That's remained the #1 issue. Racial issues is second. The economy is third. Crime and criminal justice is fourth. And government ethics, connected to the WikiLeaks scandal is fifth. And obviously with the tax return interest is driving a lot of the taxes.
And you have a lot of people engaging.
We do. We've really seen a growth a surge really in the size of the conversation over the last 30 days. If you look at the candidates, 50 million people, unique Americans, are talking about Donald Trump. Just in the last 30 days, over 625 million interactions. Those are all the likes and posts and comments that are related to Donald Trump. If you go to Hillary Clinton, she also has a large volume of conversation. 43 million unique Americans talking about her, almost 500 million interactions. Since the start of the year, we've seen 109 unique people in America talking about the election. That's about 3/4 of registered voters from 2014, and we'll continue to see that tonight.
Amazing. Could be a big night.
Should be a huge night.
Robert, thank you.
My pleasure.
Special Report continues after this.
I believe he will not bring up Bill Clinton's personal life. I do believe there's a possibility he'll talk about Hillary Clinton's situation if it gets to that. I don't think he prefers to do that, but I think he will.
The Clintons had a rough time in their marriage 20 years ago. That was litigated out. At this debate tonight and in the rest of this campaign, we want to focus on the issues, and that's what Hillary's going to do.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen in this debate. Let's just be honest. Anything really could happen in this debate at Washington University. Today, Donald Trump was very active on Twitter. First about Wisconsin. Thank you to my great supporters in Wisconsin. I heard that the crowd enthusiasm was unreal. That's about the cheering that interrupting Paul Ryan and others at that event. Tremendous support, except for some Republican leadership. Thank you. So many self-righteous hypocrites. Watch their poll numbers and elections go down. And then tweeting out exclusive video, Broderick Willie Jones to Bill's defenders. These are crimes, terrified of enabler. Hillary there talking about interviews with accusers of former President Bill Clinton of affairs and worse. Let's bring in our panel. Steve Hayes, senior writer for The Weekly Standard. Monica Crowley, editor and columnist for The Washington Times. Guy Benson, political editor at townhall.com. And David Cantonese, senior politics writer for U.S. News and World Report. Okay, Monica, you first. For Donald Trump, I just talked to Senator Sessions. They are seeing a lot of Republican defections. Mm-hmm. Is this, the moment? What do you think about tonight?
This is the moment for Donald Trump to step up and try to salvage his campaign. The United States is a country of second chances. Americans love a comeback story, so this is his moment to try to maximize the opportunity that's before him. He has a real chance to show that he is modest and humble and contrite, not characteristics necessarily associated with Donald Trump. This is his chance to show the American people that side of him. And remember, we do have precedents for this. We had Bill Clinton being accused when he was running. We had Arnold Schwarzenegger running for governor of California, being accused of groping women. We had Barack Obama facing tapes of a racist anti-American preacher in Jeremiah Wright. We had Richard Nixon going back some years with the Checkers speech. They were all able to salvage their candidacies and go on to win when they handled it the right way.
Why is this different, though? Because we heard Donald Trump with this audio? It seems to be cutting through much more. Is it because... Why?
It's because it reinforces the stereotype that everyone thought was true about Donald Trump, that he treated women abhorrently and repugnantly, and now it's on tape, and there is likely more tapes. I think Donald Trump is in almost an irreparable position in this race. I think it is unlikely that he can come back and win the presidency. I just got off the phone with a top aide who says he describes the campaign in 2 words: disarray and trepidation about what is next. There's little direction from the top. They're not hearing. I mean, look, people are voting. They're voting this week. There's been no direction from the top. There's rumors floating all around. And let's remember, Donald Trump was behind in this race before this tape by 3 to 6 points nationally in most battleground states, and most importantly, he is the first Republican in 60 years to likely lose the white vote with college-educated whites, and he is behind regardless of his position in the race with minorities. So I just think it is unlikely for him to come back no matter what kind of performance he puts together tonight.
Guy, you hear Trump supporters and this palpable frustration that, the WikiLeaks does not get covered. The things about Hillary Clinton doesn't get any play, any place. It doesn't break through. Fair criticism?
To some extent, although we're going to cover it later on the show, and I think Donald Trump has a huge platform to bring it up and really drive that narrative in front of 80, 90 million people tonight. I think, again, we'll have a huge tune-in factor. But I think the point is so important for the frustration among Trump supporters. They're treating some of them like this whole tape being released as the turning point in the race. If you look at the Real Clear Politics polling averages in the states heading into tonight, most of that data long before any of this tape controversy blew up, Hillary Clinton currently sitting at 340 electoral votes based on that polling. So now I think there's no sugarcoating it. The Republican Party is in a very precarious situation because people down ballot from Donald Trump who are distancing themselves, they're trying to do so because most voters are repulsed by what Trump said, but they're also really infuriating Trump and his base, and he's egging them on. So they're going to lose voters one way or the other. This is not one big happy family heading into November.
Steve, 3 of the 4 Trump tweets today dealt with Republicans.
Yeah.
Dealt with Republicans. Now you have down ballot races, as Guy mentions. You have the Senate hanging in the balance. And frankly, I mean, is it possible that there's hope for Democrats in the House?
Yeah, I think it is possible that there's hope for Democrats in the House. What strikes me in reporting this for the last 48 hours, talking probably in total to a couple dozen different Republican officials, elected officials, RNC people, staff, is the 2 different conversations that are taking place in American politics right now. On the one hand, you have conversations mostly like the one that we're having and have been having, which involves can Donald Trump recover? Can he turn in a good debate performance? If he apologizes, will people forgive him? And then the other people I'm talking to, candidates, strategists, people working on Senate races, down ballot races, the questions that they're addressing is, how big a bloodbath is this? How catastrophic is this? Are we talking about losing both houses of Congress this year? Are we talking about losing them in such a bad way that the Republican Party is irreparably harmed or harmed for the next decade? It's a sense of catastrophe that you hear from Republican officials, from conservative movement types.
You know what I hear on Twitter? Is that this is the same stuff you heard at the beginning of the primary. This is what they type, like, hey, yeah, nobody said Trump was going to do anything, and then he turned it around and won the nomination. But I hear what you're saying.
It's just, I mean, look, I get why Trump supporters would say that. I would be making the same argument if I were a Trump supporter. You're talking about vastly different circumstances where you had 17 candidates in the Republican primary and a media that was eager to egg Donald Trump on as he beat up conservatives. Now you have a media that's totally hostile to Donald Trump in favor of Hillary Clinton's worldview ideologically and is eager to see her elected. It's a totally different, and it's a one-on-one race.
I think the split that Steve is talking about is real, but I also think it reflects a deeper split in the country between the elites and everybody else. When you go on social media or you talk to regular Americans, they don't really care about what Donald Trump said 11 years ago. They care about the serious issues facing the country today. A weak economy, no job creation, wage stagnation, an open border, an existential threat from Islamic terror. That's what they want to hear Donald Trump talking about tonight. That's what they want to hear Hillary Clinton talking about tonight, not this stuff from 11 years ago. So while the elites are wrapped up in it, regular Americans are.
All right, you know what, can I just jump in on that? Regular Americans, I mean, I talk to regular Americans. I don't just talk to elites. I talk to people in Wisconsin. I'm emailing and texting with folks who are not at all elites, who have never been elites, are never going to be elites. They're disturbed by this. They're frustrated by this. They don't like what Donald Trump has said and done over the course of the election. Maybe some of them were never Trump supporters. Maybe they will be Trump supporters. But it's not just the elites who are upset by this.
I'm not excusing it, Steve. I'm not excusing what he said. What I'm saying is that most average voters want their current issues and the life and the future of the country dealt with and addressed.
If you're talking about issues, that's fair.
Yes.
If you're talking about turning to issues, but I don't think it's only the elites that are troubled by what Donald Trump has said.
No, and that's not what I said.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Last word.
Trump has a decision to make tonight about whether he wants to make about issues, and will he bring up Bill Clinton's indiscretions and infidelities of the past, or will he make it about issues? I think that is an open question of which route he's going to take.
But he's going to stay in the race.
Oh, I think he's definitely staying in the race.
Staying in the race?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see him leaving.
All right. Next up, the Hillary Clinton story. But first, I checked in with Twitter to see how they're covering tonight's debate. All right, this is the door to the spin room. That's where all the campaigns will come to spin reporters after this debate. Let's come find our friends at Twitter. Adam Sharp, how are you? What do you got for us?
Well, as you know, we've been looking all this campaign at what the big policy issues are driving conversation. For the last month, foreign affairs, the economy, and terrorism. But obviously other stories have come up along the way. Hillary Clinton, her health, her emails, the Clinton Foundation. A bit of a spike there around 9/11 when she collapsed at the memorial in New York. But let's look at the last 24 hours. Donald Trump and the tapes. Off the charts, policy conversations dropping to next to nothing. Those tapes, this conversation, driving the conversation about this entire election right now.
And as far as issues overall, this is trumping that?
Second most tweeted day of the campaign so far. More than the VP debate, more than the conventions, more than Super Tuesday and the primaries. This is the second biggest night. First debate was number one. All the ingredients for a big night tonight here in St. Louis.
Okay, if they want to tweet you, it's
at Adam S.
All right, that Brett there. Special report continues after this.
Russians, as the U.S. senior members of the U.S. government confirmed, have been hacking into Democratic accounts, and now they've hacked into my account. They've put out documents that are purported to be from my account.
I don't think we can dignify documents dumped by WikiLeaks and just assume that they're all accurate and true. Anybody who hacks in to get documents is completely capable of manipulating them.
So we have two Hillary Clintons, which says we have a person who's a liar, because that's what she is.
Some of the sound from the Sunday shows this morning. Fair and Balanced, joining us now from the spin room here at Washington University, is Democratic National Committee Interim Chairwoman Donna Brazile. Donna, thank you for being here.
It's always a pleasure to hear your voice and to see you.
Donna, I want to start with something that hasn't broken through a lot. It got talked about a little bit today. I saw you on ABC, and that is this WikiLeaks story and the emails that are coming from it and what's inside them. You can't confirm that she gave these speeches to these firms?
Well, first of all, as you well know, Brett, early this year, the Democratic National Committee announced that we were the victims of a cybercrime. And while many in the media spent their entire focus on the contents of the emails that were released, and in some cases releasing personal identifying information of private individuals, our job at the Democratic National Committee is to ensure that we protect not just the personal identifying information, but we protect the sanctity of our electoral process. So with regards to this latest round of emails that were dropped, whether it's Colin Powell, whether it's John Podesta, or Donna Brazile, or Bernie, here's my view. If it's postmarked from Russia, which is what we believe it is, and the United States government confirmed that on Friday, I'm not in the business of opening it up to corrupt our system any further with the spyware, the malware, and the disinformation that they're spreading. We have a process by which we can review all of these documents without corrupting. No, this is very important because, again, I want to get to what we were the victims of a cyber crime. It is very, very important that everyone understand that the Democratic Party, this is not about partisanship. This is about country, and we want to protect. We want to protect the personal information
about the Russian part of it. But Donna, let me interrupt for a second. Let me interrupt, because if you want to clear the air about what is accurate and what is not, why not put out the transcripts of those speeches to those different firms?
Why not? Look, first of all, here we go. The reason why we know that Secretary Clinton gave these speeches in the first place is because she released information, because she released her taxes. When Donald Trump is able to release his taxes, right, and this is no quid pro quo. Look, put out his federal tax records to see what is his business dealings with Russia. Put out his tax
know that issue is a big issue.
If he stiffed individuals,
but so you know what? These transcripts. If you're saying they're false in the emails,
I'm the chair of the Democratic. I'm the chair of the Democratic National Committee. I'm not about to open up any emails that's postmarked from Russia. You open them up. You
sure, but somebody has the transcripts, right?
You have misinformation. You have misinformation.
I get it.
And we have.
But somebody has the transcripts of the firm.
You have misinformation.
I get it.
And, you know, we have
but somebody has the transcripts of the firm. Yeah, I know. But somebody has the transcripts from the speeches. You could put them out, right?
I am not familiar with who has what. I'm familiar with what the Democratic National Committee is doing. I'm familiar with the cyber crime that we were victims of, along with many other Democratic institutions and other Americans. And so that's my focus. We have 30 days in which to talk to the American people about the important issues facing this country. And let me just say something about private versus
I know
public.
you don't want to. I know you don't want to answer that question. So let's turn. Let me ask you something else.
I answered the question, Boo.
What is Hillary Clinton? No. But about the transcripts. Let's turn. What does Hillary Clinton need to do tonight? Is she going to be on the aggression? Is she going to be aggressive against Donald Trump about this tape, or is she going to kind of stay back and see what Donald Trump does? What's the strategy?
As you know, tonight, town hall format is designed to allow Secretary Clinton to talk directly to the American people. These are voters who still have questions, and the fact that they're undecided. She will tonight give them concrete answers, solutions on how she plans to deal with everything from ISIS to the economy to student debt, income inequality, and climate change. And given the destruction of Hurricane Matthew, it's important to hear from a candidate who has common sense solution and not somebody with a bunch of what I call lewd and crude remarks. Donald Trump should come in here with contrition. He should come in here saying, I'm sorry. You have more Republicans today fighting against Donald Trump than you have Democrats, because Donald Trump has managed to insult not just Republicans but the entire country.
Donna, last thing. Donald Trump did tweet out today interviews with some of the accusers of former President Bill Clinton, including Juanita Broaddrick, who accuses the former president of raping her. What's your reaction to that, and do you think Donald Trump go down that road?
First of all, I'm not running Donald Trump campaign, but I will tell you this. Again, I talked about contrition. I also think that Donald Trump should be very, very careful about treading down this what I call slippery slope to the cesspool. When that situation occurred, when President Clinton, and the First Lady, Mrs. Clinton suffered, Chelsea suffered, the president was held accountable. I think it's unfair for Donald Trump to try to in any way insinuate, and he knows Hillary Clinton, he knows Bill Clinton, but it's unfair for him to insinuate the kind of garbage that he might insinuate. I think that will hurt him. I think that will cause more Republicans to disavow him and disown him. But if he wants to bring it on that way, because that's what he's been doing over the last 18 months of his candidacy, there's a direct line between what Trump said in 2005 and what he said in 2015 and 2016. And I think tonight the American people will find out he's morally unfit to be president of the United States if he goes down that road.
Donna Brazile, we appreciate your time. We're sorry for the delay there, back and forth. Next time we'll be on the same set. Thanks for being here.
No, boo-boo. And next time, don't bring me no emails unless you have cleaned your system, okay? Don't bring nothing corrupting to me. But you and I can always have a decent conversation, and, I'll look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, sir.
We appreciate it. Thanks. We're back with our panel. Steve.
Yeah, sort of interesting. I mean, she obviously didn't want to answer the question about the emails, and you're exactly right to press her on it. Other Hillary Clinton surrogates have been unable to answer that question. Very easy if they want to clear up any misunderstanding about what's in the emails. If there is a misunderstanding, put them out. Put out the emails, put out the speech transcripts, let everybody know what happened. For a campaign that talks incessantly about being the most transparent campaign in history, which is a laugh line for people who are paying attention, they sure aren't making good on their promises.
Yeah, notice how you ask repeatedly, will she put out the transcripts? Someone has them in her camp. She, in fact, requested them as a prerequisite to show up and give the speeches to these.
Well, that's why they're in the emails, because they were going to scrub the policy in the speeches
that
go through their people.
So why won't you put them out, you ask? And she says, well, Donald Trump's taxes. That's the type of evasion that we're seeing from both sides in this campaign that drives people absolutely crazy. Now, I suspect that they're not saying one way or the other because they know that these transcripts are accurate. And if I'm Donald Trump tonight, there are two phrases that I'm hammering on repeatedly: open borders and open trade. These are lines that she has given in private, apparently, to Wall Street bankers, but during the primary against Bernie Sanders pretended that she was a protectionist, anti-free trade person. She's not. And the open borders line, that could really be damaging to her in a lot of key areas in this country in the general electorate.
If these came out, though, in the primary, they would have been exponentially more devastating than they are now in the wake of the coverage of this tape, right? I mean, in the primary, they're deadly.
Totally. Considering Bernie Sanders was hammering her on a lot of these issues from a populist point of view. But imagine the weekend the Republican nominee anyone besides Donald Trump would be having if this came out and this was the main story. Instead, we're talking about tapes. I mean, Guy is right. The open borders comment that she uttered and then said later she never said, that's proof that she was lying about that. We would be focusing a lot more on that if it wasn't for this tape.
Monica, there's substance in here. There's a lot. But, you know, to Donna's point about Russia, it is also concerning that the U.S. intelligence community, whether you believe all of that or not, has pinpointed Russia as being behind all of this.
Well, that's right. And I think a lot of Americans are concerned about our government's cybersecurity and the fact Mrs. Clinton had a private, unsecured, non-government server while she was Secretary of State, deliberately endangering our nation's most sensitive national security secrets. But also, if it is true that Russia and the Kremlin has her entire email inventory, what other hostile foreign actors might have it as well? She ought to be very concerned about that. But the line I thought was most damaging coming out of the WikiLeaks disclosure was when she said, well, I have a public position and then a private position, because that underscores what most Americans believe about her, which is that she is dishonest and untrustworthy.
Very quickly, is there one thing that can come out about Hillary Clinton between now and Election Day that changes the dynamic dramatically in Donald Trump's favor?
I mean, that really is, I think, the big question, because if this race goes on this trajectory, I think Donald Trump loses and potentially loses very badly. It's not only a question of what could come out that would change the dynamic, how the media would cover what comes out that changes the dynamic. I mean, we've talked repeatedly about things that we have thought are big news stories that haven't been covered as such by the rest of the media.
Yep. Anything that changes, like a bombshell that changes the race?
I mean, I couldn't rule out anything.
Pay for play, direct
direct pay for play allegation, sure, but we can't talk about it in a vacuum because we also don't know what's that's going to come out about Donald Trump. And there's already been producers and people who have worked.
No, but I'm just saying the Clinton side. Is there something that is
worse than apparent sexual assault? I don't think so.
Back with final thoughts after the break. Finally tonight, a reminder, 2 hours and 1 minute from now, Megyn Kelly and I will be taking you through this debate. It actually starts 8:50, our coverage, to start the debate coverage here in St. Louis. We will hear from our experts about what to expect in a debate that really could be unlike any other we have seen. Think about the possibilities. They are endless where this could all go. Remember, it's a town hall here, and it's going to be interesting to see the interaction with all the people in that town hall format and the interaction with the moderators, Anderson Cooper and Martha Raddatz. Thanks for inviting us into your home tonight. That is it for this special report. Fair, balanced, and unafraid. As we leave you from the campus of Washington University, a special edition of On the Record with my friend Brit Hume starts right now.